Thanks, me. Today we have an interview with one of my favorite authors, Dayton Ward. Now, Dayton is the author of dozens of Star Trek books and other stories. Now, normally we speak with Dayton at the annual Planet Comic Con, Kansas City, but due to circumstances of a viral nature, we're going to do it by the magic of the internet today. Please welcome Mr. Dayton Ward.
How you doing?
I'm doing
Glad to
great.
be here. Thanks.
Now, since we last spoke, we have had this pandemic. So how has this pandemic affected you?
Uh, Personally, thank goodness I have not been too impacted by it, other than having to follow all the product protocols that we are all being asked to follow. I was already working at home full time before this started, so that part didn't change,
Mhm.
and I was thankful enough to remain employed through all of that. Or to this point, and the only real difference was my two daughters were at home doing the virtual learning thing for the last
Mhm.
couple of school year, and they managed to do pretty well, actually. I'm very proud of both of them. They both made uh, honor rolls, so I'm
Yep,
quite happy with how they were able to stick with it
that's good. And I
despite the
suppose you've had a,
distractions. So
I suppose you've had a
other
lot
than
more
that, it's
time.
been
I suppose you've had a lot more time to write.
not really, no. um, I mean, yes and no. I mean, I write, but I'm also I'm working as a consultant right now to CBS Global Franchise Management. So I do a lot of reading and reviewing and commenting on various things relating to the Star Trek brand. So
Mhm.
that's basically a full-time job, more or less. So
Oh, that's awesome. Now, if we'd done this interview way back in, was it April, May, when the convention was really scheduled, I would talk to you about Kirk Foo.
yes, we can still talk about that.
Now, tell me more about the Kirk Foo Manual.
Well, it is as advertised. It is a manual that will show you how to fight like Captain Kirk on the original Star Trek. Uh, I pitched the idea to my editor at Inside Editions somewhat as a joke, but also about half serious to see if I could maybe turn it into a humor book like what you're holding. And he went for it. And of course, we went through several iterations of this and a couple of different editors as other editors were promoted and moved up the chain in that company. And planets finally aligned this year to get it out. I love it. I think it's a pretty awesome little gift book for the casual and the hardcore Star Trek fan. I think it's the perfect kind of thing that your mom will buy you for your birthday because she knows you like Star Trek. But it's definitely written from a place of respect and love for the franchise. I'm not poking fun at it. I'm having fun with it, and I hope that's how it seems to be how most fans have taken it. They understand what I'm going for,
Mhm.
and the illustrations really make it. Um, for me, the illustrations really make the book. I wrote the text largely as the straight man in this two-man comic routine,
Yeah.
and I let the illustrations convey the humor and the absurdity of some of these fight moves.
Yeah.
And so I really love Christian's art in this book.
Mhm. Now, could you see a sequel to this? A Riker Foo,
I don't know that
Janeway
Riker
Foo?
has any foo. Does Riker have a foo of his own? I don't really know.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
remember. He's had a couple of fights, but not really. I don't know. I will have to think about it.
Ooh, Klingon martial arts.
I'll have to come up with something.
Yeah,
What's that? Oh,
Klingon martial arts.
yeah, something ambo jitsu or whatever it is that they do, where
Yeah.
he fights his father. There have been talks about what else I could do in this vein to kind of
Mhm.
mine what I call the inherent humor that the franchise offers without being disrespectful. That's the key. Is
Yeah.
if I can find something that we can have fun with it, but not poke fun at it. That's where I'll go.
Yeah.
I'm not looking to be a snarky, cynical guy here.
Now, you have a new Star Trek book coming out, Star Trek Agents of Influence. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, that's an original series novel. So it's Kirk and the gang during the 5-year mission, and it's been out about a month now, I think. And it's basically Captain Kirk and his crew are asked to head off into near the Klingon border to retrieve or actually find out what happened to another starship that was sent to retrieve 3 covert agents who were working behind the lines in the Klingon Empire. They'd actually been surgically altered to appear Klingon, and they'd been working undercover for years. And they activated their emergency extraction protocols, which meant for them to travel to the border and get picked up by a ship, and all that went wrong. So Kirk and the gang are sent to figure out what went wrong and hopefully find the agents, and more importantly, all of the information that they have been collecting while undercover all this time.
Yeah. Well, that's one of those things that never seems to go right, is it? You know.
Nothing ever goes right. That's why the stories are, let's see if I can get it
Yeah.
in here. I don't know if it'll work with the virtual, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's why we write the stories. I mean, nobody wants to read the story where nothing happens. We call that
Now,
life.
yeah. Well, we all wished for interesting times, and 2020 has been very interesting. Now, of course, we have plenty of Star Trek on TV now. We have Discovery, we have Picard, we have Lower Decks coming just in a few weeks. What are your thoughts on the franchise so far?
Well, I mean, admitting up front that I am biased, number one, because I'm a huge fan of pretty much everything Star Trek, but I'm also working with the folks who make the Star Trek. I'm excited. It's a fun time to be a fan. There's just so much going on right now, both on TV and in other media like books and comics and games and other merchandise, and other things that help extend the brand. I mean, there's lots of stuff being talked about or developed, and of course the COVID situation has put a lot of plans on hold, but there's a lot of cool things being considered within the halls of Star Trek power in Hollywood.
Mhm.
And I'm looking forward to seeing all of it. I want it all to work. I mean, I want everything to be a ratings blockbuster, and
Mhm.
I want the next movie to make $1 billion and everything. So I'm excited, but I admit my bias.
Yeah. Well, there have been some fans who haven't liked their first look at Lower Decks, but you know,
Yeah, I can imagine.
there are always people like that. I think it looks fantastic.
The Kirk Fu book and other bits like that. I love it when Star Trek is not afraid to stop taking itself so seriously for a
Hmm.
minute and have some fun
Yeah, especially
and be a little whimsical and even a little absurd. And
yeah.
I think Lower Decks is an interesting experiment. It's like nothing that we have ever seen before, except as in something like a parody, like a Galaxy Quest or the Orville.
Hmm.
I think the trailer may not necessarily sell you completely on the total concept of the show.
Hmm.
I think it's playing up the humor, but I
Yeah.
think you're going to find it's got a little bit of heart in the stories. There's definitely a Star Trek heartbeat going on under there. It's just they're embracing the humor rather than it just being a add-on or
Yeah.
just a consequence of the action. It's going to be interesting. I think obviously the hardcore purists are probably gonna have the hardest time with it. They may have to medicate
Yeah.
that first episode, but that's what I said back in '09 when when the first reboot movie came. I'm like, you're gonna like this, just medicate before you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. So, what are you working on now?
I am working on several things. I'm working on two different books that are not related to each other, and they're both. I can't tell you what they are because they haven't been announced by their respective publishers.
Ah.
But they are both related to properties, media properties. One's a novel and one is not. In fact, one is very much not a novel and it's very much unlike anything I've done before. So it's an interesting experiment. We'll see if it works. And then my partner Kevin Dillmore and I are working on no fewer than 3 short stories for 3 different publishers that for the publication next year. So we actually got together yesterday and beat out one story so that we can start writing on it. And then there's another one waiting in the wings, and there's another one waiting right after that. So we'll be busy through the fall.
Yeah. Well, it's great to keep busy, especially given the circumstances. Now,
Yeah.
if you could write a plot for a new season of Discovery or Picard, what would you pitch?
Oh, I'm not gonna tell you that. I gotta save that stuff. I might get a chance to pitch a story. I gotta save it. That being said, there's what I'm seeing for how they're developing Picard for the second season and what Discovery is going to do for its fourth season. I think it's going to be an interesting journey for both of those shows. I
Mhm.
think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's definitely going to be a different tone than what you saw in the first season of Picard, and so far from what I've been able to see. And then Discovery season 4, they're just really getting going on figuring out what they want to do for that season, and it's definitely different than what we've seen so far. So I'm excited. And then we haven't even talked about the other shows,
Mhm.
Strange New Worlds, that was recently announced.
Mhm.
That's basically Captain Pike and the Enterprise, and I'm
Yeah.
very excited about that show. That's
Yeah.
right in my wheelhouse because I love the original series. So I've been talking to Kirsten Beyer, who is one of the writers on the show and a good friend of mine, and she's also written a number of Star Trek
Mhm.
novels. She's very excited about the show, so I can tell that she's really excited about the show. It's not just a line, I can tell from hearing it in her voice that she's really jazzed. So that jazzes me. That gets me excited. I can't wait to see what they come up with.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you'll be pick to write a novel about that too.
Well, we'll see.
Well, that I think that is a pretty good place to put a pin in it right there. Now, Mr. Dayton Ward, thank you very much for coming on to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
And you can buy Dayton Ward wherever you shop, Amazon, Walmart, anywhere. Go. I'll
Go
see you
forth
next.
and buy.
Yep, we'll see you next time. Now back to me. All right. Thanks, Dayton.
Yeah, no problem.
Oh,
Thanks for having me. Appreciate
oh yeah. As I said, I need stuff to fill up my time other than me talking.
it. Yeah, I get it.
I get
So
tired.
that's all
I
right.
get tired of myself.
I get tired of myself too. So, and I got 2 or 3 more of these this week. So,
Well, good.
whenever a new book comes out, I always get a slate of, a plate load of interviews for people. So I try to space them out. I do 2 or 3 a week, and you're
Oh
my
yeah.
first one this week. I got at least 2 more that I remember. There might be a third one there. I got to check my calendar. So
Okay.
anyway, yeah, but it's fun. I mean, that's what you got to do when you have a new book out there you want people to read. So,
Yeah. Well,
well, and I'm sorry we're not going to get to see each other planet, but I mean, hopefully
yeah.
they'll get this thing worked out. We'll do it next year.
Yeah. Hopefully. Fingers
All righty.
crossed.
Yeah,
See you
no
later.
kidding.
Yeah.
All right, have a good one.
Mhm.
Bye bye.
Bye.